Greetings, brothers and sisters. Welcome to another episode of Books of the Month. I am your host, Dr. O.C. Pringle, and I am so honored to be sitting here with author, entrepreneur, mother, grandmother, this phenomenal woman of God, Carol L. Austin. She is the author of Prayers of My Mother. This is going to be a blessing to many of you out there, quite thought-provoking. Listen, welcome. Can I call you Carol?
That's right, Carloyn.
Carolyn, welcome to Books of the Month. Before we start talking about Prayers of My Mother, tell me a little bit about you personally.
Okay, I am a retired law enforcement officer. I am a mother, as you said, and a grandmother. I am also a real estate broker. I am also a restorative justice practice coach in Miami-Dade County, which means I work with the students in the schools to try to decrease expulsions and suspensions.
Awesome.
Yeah, I am a certified internal auditor, which means I can come and audit your books.
No, we're not talking about that, but go ahead.
Yes.
Awesome.
And, so in my part-time, I do the restorative justice coaching, and I also travel with my book, Prayers of My Mother.
And you are also a very busy woman. Very
Yes, sir.
busy woman. And I must say this, your mother and a grandmother, whatever water you're drinking in Dade County, would you please mail some to me? I'm telling you, you don't look like a grandmother. Well, grandmothers are different nowadays.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's
You don't
right.
look a day over 30. I'm serious.
Oh, thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
So tell me about Prayers of My Mother.
Okay. Prayers of My Mother actually began because of one of my childhood friends going through a really bad divorce, and she wanted my mom to pray with her. Well, my mom is 92 now, and she has Alzheimer's.
Wow.
So mom is not able to pray with people like she used to. So I told my friend I'll do it. So I started praying with my friend each night, sending her a text message prayer just to uplift her spirits. So she got to where she started depending on them. So the next month, and this was in January 2014, then the following month, February, another friend called me, distraught about a relationship, and I kind of said, okay, I'll send a text message to you too. But then when the following month, a third friend called me suicidal, saying that she just wanted to go to sleep and not wake up, at that point I was like, okay, Lord, what's going on? So I started sending all three of them the same text message. Well, I began telling people about what I was doing, and they wanted to be added to the text message. So from that point, it became an email prayer. So I started doing these devotionals. They evolved from just a prayer to a devotional. So now I have 79 people that I send an email devotional to each night.
That is awesome. That is definitely a ministry itself. So your book, we have scriptures, anecdotes, inspirational prayers, all combined into one. It's almost like the book of Psalms, because that's what you will find in the book of Psalms in the Bible. And so this is not just for women.
That's
This is
right.
for anyone.
That's right.
But do you find it being more appreciated by women more so than men?
No, I actually do have some male fans, and what they mostly have told me is that they like my book because it gives them present-day application for the scriptures. Because I give them relatable stories, my personal experiences, things other people have shared with me, and it just kind of lets them understand the Bible more. It just brings the scriptures more relatable for them.
So you're sending these prayers via text message?
No, email.
Email. Okay. Via email. I was about to say that's way beyond. Okay, text messaging. That is awesome. So this book, you would find that it is a blessing to not only women, but also men. There were some other areas in the book, though, that were quite interesting. Backstabbing. That really caught my attention. There's a section that's talking about backstabbing.
Yes.
So those, I'm calling them subtitles. Are they subtitles that were developed through conversation, prayer requests, or is just something that you were inspired to do to encourage someone that may be experiencing that?
It's kind of both. When I actually sat down and decided to write the book, because as I kept sending the emails out, the people were responding to them about how much they were helping them. So when I was more encouraged to do the book, I used the favorite ones, you know, the ones they responded, oh yeah, that was right on time, that really helped me. So I started with those. And then after that, I said, okay, you know, how am I going to do this book? So when I sat down, literally all the titles and subtitles just kind of flooded into my mind, and I made a spreadsheet. So I was able to do like a sort with all my prayers and categorize them under the different subtitles that I had to come up with. So that's kind of how they evolved. And then the personal stories, the most popular ones, because that's what everybody likes, that I put my own business. You know, I was transparent in the book. I made the subtitles myself to try to fit, you know, those things. And backstabbing is an example, because I experienced backstabbing in my workplace. So that's, and my personal life as well. So that's when that one came. Discernment.
Tell me about that portion of the book.
Yeah, discernment. I attribute to myself that I am very discerning, especially when I'm able to be around people, certain people a lot. I can kind of see, you know, where they're going with certain things. So that's pretty much where discernment came from. And a lot of times we get discernment and we ignore it. So sometimes I say, or lack thereof of discernment.
Don't trust it.
That's right, because you know, you get it, but you want to believe, you know, you want to believe whatever's in front of you, so you just kind of ignore it and you dive right in anyway. And then after everything happens, you're like, okay, I knew that, you know, I ignored that, so, you know, it's your own fault because you ignored it. You knew it was going to happen, that type of thing.
So did your mother develop prayers in the same manner, prayers for particular things?
No, not exactly.
All of this just started with you basically mimicking or repeating your mother's prayers?
No.
Okay.
No. The title prayers of my mother actually came from me determining that what I'm doing now is the answers to my mother's prayers for her children, that we have a relationship with God.
So the prayers of your mother caused you to be a prayer warrior.
That's exactly right, because she was a prayer warrior. When I was growing up, people actually came to our house for prayer. I was like 15 years old, and I was like, you know, this is weird, you know, but you're 15, it's your mom, so, you know, whatever. So that's why that one friend I talked about would call me, because she would call my mother to get my mother to pray with her whenever she was going through something, which I didn't know she was doing that until she got to a really bad moment and wanted to reach out, and she called me really, you know, distraught about her situation. And so me just taking my mom's place, because my mom was not able to, started this journey for me.
So at the time of the writing of the book, your mother was 92, or was it when the young lady was coming?
Yeah, so she was like maybe 88.
So she's currently 92.
She's 92 right now.
That is a blessing. So is she aware of what you're doing?
Well, that's interesting too, because when I started, this was 2016 when I decided to write the book. I started praying with my friends in 2014. So when I decided to write the book, I was talking to my mom, because you know, when people have Alzheimer's, you don't know whether they're listening to you or not. So I talk with my mom. Sometimes she remembers me, sometimes she doesn't. So I talk with her anyway. I'll talk with her. So I started telling her when I was writing the book. So one day,
you did tell her.
I did tell her.
Listen, I want to hear some. I would love to know your mother's response to that.
That's right.
Okay, hold that thought. We'll be right back after the word from our sponsors. Don't go anywhere.
So you've decided to go to college. That's cool. So pop quiz. Which is a better way to earn your degree? Commute to college and fill your gas tank, get stuck in traffic, drive in bad weather, try to find a parking space, walk a half-mile to class, or learn online at Independence University. In the park on a bench, on the beach on a towel, or on your couch with your kid, your campus is wherever you want it to be. You don't go to college. College goes to you. That's independence. That's Independence University. You schedule classes around your schedule, and all your supplies, including a brand new laptop and tablet, are included with tuition. At Independence U, you'll learn from professional instructors with real work experience. You'll get personal support in school and employment assistance when you graduate. Get your degree, but keep your life. That's independence. That's Independence University. So if you're really smart, you'd call now.
1-855-654-4561.
Independence U, for an independent you.
1-855-654-4561.
Hey, and we're back to hear more from Carolyn Austin. She's a phenomenal author. And I know you stated that you're not, quote unquote, a preacher, but you sound like one to me. You sound like one. You're absolutely phenomenal. You are definitely anointed. You are an anointed prayer warrior, without a doubt. Without a doubt. The prayers of my mother. That is the title of her book. So you were, before going to break, you mentioned introducing what you're doing to your mother. What was her response?
Well, she didn't really have a response because, again, she has Alzheimer's, but I would just talk with her and just tell her about certain things. So one day I was visiting her because at the time, my mom's in Miami, Florida. I live in South Carolina, Columbia area. So I was visiting my mom, and she just says to me, book, book. And I almost passed out because I did not know that she could hear me or was even really listening. That's why when people are sick, especially with different, diseases as far as those mental health type things, you should mind your counsel around them because you don't know what they're listening to. So when she said that to me, I was like, Mom, I'm working on it. I'm working on it. So when I finally finished it about a year later, and also they said that she was going to be not with us that much longer in 2016. So that also pushed me to get the book done. So as she continued to remain
Wait a minute,
here,
it's 2019.
I know exactly.
And your mama's still here.
And she's still here, that's right. So a year later, she's still here. I'm able to go and put this book in her hand. And I read the two things that I felt that she would understand. And it was the call and Don't Eat Your Vomit. So during Don't Eat Your Vomit, she actually laughed because I felt like she remembered that there was something that she told me. And that's why I wanted to include it in this book.
Don't eat your vomit. I was headed there. But since you brought it up, let's talk about don't y'all be eating your vomit. Okay, so talk to me. Don't eat your vomit.
Okay. With Don't Eat Your Vomit, when I was going through my divorce,
I already know where you're headed right now. I already know. That's why you're going through what you're going through, because you keep going back and eating something you done thrown up. All right, go ahead.
So when I was going through my divorce, I was talking with my mom about it, and I began to change my mind. And she said, you don't eat your vomit. Then she began to tell me that it was scriptural. In the scripture, 2 Peter chapter 2, verses 20 through 22, she began to tell me about the dog returning to its vomit. And I understood. She explained some more to me, and I understood that, just like you mentioned, you don't keep going back. When something's not working, stop going back and doing it over and over again, eating it over and over again, taking it in over and over again, being treated the same way over and over again. You have to move forward. So I use that not only for, marriages or other relationships that don't work, but even friendships, work relationships. When you see it's not working, you need to start planning to move on.
Move on. And when you move on, don't go back. Don't turn back. And eat your vomit. Wow. What's another portion of your book that has really caught people's attention? I know that vomit part did.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about baptism, but this question first.
Okay. I think another one that has caught people's attention is shame. I talk about it and I relate my own shame, in the book. And I use the scripture about Tamar. Tamar being raped by her brother, and how she, tore her garments and put, on her face and just, openly expressed, her shame. And sometimes we can't help but openly express it because it's on our sleeve or it's in our actions. And for me, my shame happened when, I was all excited planning my wedding, getting ready to get married, and then maybe about a month out or something, my fiance then, started acting funny. You know how we say you start acting funny. But he started acting funny, and I realized that he was backing out. So I had to call all my friends and relatives and cancel the wedding.
Oh.
Well, at the time, I know, and at the time, I didn't know that my dad was so happy, that I had canceled it. But at the same time, my dad cried because he felt the hurt that he felt like I was feeling.
Oh, wow.
And nobody told me. Nobody told me how happy they was that I had canceled the wedding. Nobody told me that my dad had cried. Nobody told me that they were feeling like this person wasn't right for me. So I felt shame later when I found out that these were the reactions of my family. But what what I felt is that if they had expressed to me how they felt about him and about the situation, then I may not have eloped. So I eloped with this man because he...
Wait a minute, stop. Stop, wait a minute. So you planned the wedding and then homeboy started tripping. You called everybody, told everybody the wedding was off, and then you went and eloped with this rascal. Now that's what you call vomit. That is some serious vomit right there. Are you still, wait a minute, are you still married to him now? Oh, okay, so he's vomit, okay. All right, so when did you discover that everybody was happy that you had canceled the wedding? After you eloped? So so you went up, okay, so you were embarrassed. You were experiencing shame. Having to tell everyone that this had taken place, but in reality, unbeknownst to you, they were really happy that you were getting out of this. But in the midst of being ashamed, you went ahead and eloped do you think you did that to kind of medicate the shame? Sedate the shame? Suppress the shame?
No.
I didn't have the wedding, but I still got married.
Yeah. No, I think for me, I was just so, overcome with different emotions. This man continued to badger me after I had canceled the wedding. I had started dating again and everything.
So it didn't happen immediately?
Right, no, it didn't happen immediately.
How long?
I can't remember, to be honest with you. Maybe a month or two.
That's a message
maybe.
right there. So
Yeah.
you started dating again. So when did you find out that they wanted you to cancel?
It was years later. Because then
Oh,
I
wow.
think that, I think when your family, they think they're trying to support you. My mom told me, that it was stupid that Mom did verbally say that, it was stupid that I had gone and married him when he already showed me that he wasn't ready. She did tell me that. And then she came back and said to me that the Spirit of the Lord told her that it was not her place to judge me and that he controls all things. So at that point, she kind of laid off of me and she apologized. Because, my mom, during all of our lives, my mom had 6 kids. There's only 3 of us left now. She has always shared messages from the Spirit of the Lord to us, with us. And, of course, being younger, it was kind of hard for us to understand or fathom, how are you getting these messages or how can you, just express or share these messages, with us. And until I started to get them myself. And we can talk about that a little later. So, but yeah, so I'm distraught. I'm overcome with emotion, and this man is begging me to marry him because now I won't date him now. So now you want to ask me to marry you. We canceled the wedding. Now you think I'm going to date you? No, I'm not going to date you. So then that's when he began to beg me. Well, let's get married. Let's get married. And then I'm still in love with him, and I'm upset and ashamed and all of that. But and that's what people do. You marry, you think that it's going to make you feel better.
I have a cousin in South Carolina, not far from Columbia.
Yeah.
She planned a wedding 3 times with the same guy, and every single time he ran.
Yeah.
3 times.
And I think what it
And
is,
she eventually married him.
that's right. But what it is, they don't want to see you with anyone else. That's the bottom line.
Conquering.
So, yeah, so bottom line, and they want to feel like, that, she still loved me no matter what, that type of thing. So that's how I felt, that he just didn't want to see me with anybody else. And so, the marriage was pretty good, probably for 2 years, and then things began to show what they probably was always going to show, because people can only pretend for so long.
Of course, the real them will show. That is so interesting. Well, that is a major testimony. That is a ministry within itself. Woman, thou art loose from vomit. I'm serious. So you, not only did your mother share that with you, but you experienced the results of returning back to that which is disgusting, that which you've already regurgitated spiritually, not necessarily physically, but spiritually and psychologically and emotionally, but you went back to it. Listen, we're going to talk some more. This is a very interesting piece of literature that you created. Listen, we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. We're going to hear more from Carolyn Austin. God bless you.
Does this sound familiar? You make the minimum payment, but the balance is still the same. You make a payment a few days late. Here come the late fees, past due notice, and the collection calls. We understand dealing with debt problems is not easy. It is stressful and hard, not only for you, but for your loved ones, your family. You're not alone, but you must understand debt problems only get worse unless you take action. If you owe more than $10,000 in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt, please take a minute and call the number on the screen. Learn about programs that have helped thousands of people get out of debt. Reduce your monthly payments, cut interest, and even settle your debt for a lot less than you owe. Save thousands. Get your life back. Call the number on the screen now. It's a free call, free information, and most importantly, you will have options. Remember, waiting will not make the problem go away. Call us. Our lines are now open.
And we're back with more from author Carloyn Austin. You are a phenomenal woman of God. We were just talking about how you went through the whole thing of being engaged, cutting it off, and all of that, this, that, and other. I just believe all of that, as the scripture says, all things work together. I believe God was just forming this equation that will ultimately result into who and what you are today. And I'm assuming that what your mother possessed, it was bequeathed to you, but was it before your mother?
Yes.
Starting
definitely.
with who?
My grandmother.
Your grandmother.
My grandmother.
What's her name?
Margaret Riggs.
Margaret Riggs. Was she South Carolina?
Actually, she was born in South Carolina.
What part?
Now that I don't remember.
Okay,
Yeah,
South
that I
Carolina.
don't
Okay,
remember.
I'm from South Carolina, so I'm a little partial to that.
That I don't remember. But yes, she was from South Carolina. Actually, she was. Her mother was African American, and she was raped by a German Jew. I believe that.
Wow.
So.
So your great grandmother.
No, yes.
Your great grandmother.
Right.
Black woman raped by a German Jew.
That's right.
That wouldn't have been her slave master, though.
That
would have been after the emancipation.
Yeah,
Okay.
that I don't know. So my grandmother was born in South Carolina. Then my mom was born in Nashville, Tennessee.
So your grandmother is the result of the rape?
No,
Okay.
her mother was.
Got you. Okay.
Yes. So anyway, my grandmother ended up getting to Miami, Florida, to an area called Liberty City, Florida.
Oh, I know of Liberty City.
Yeah, Liberty City,
Church
Florida.
many days down in Liberty City.
Yeah, so in the 50s and 60s, she was known as the Barefoot Prophet in Liberty City, Florida. So that was my grandmother.
I think I've heard of that. Before because I pastored in Brownsville.
Really?
Yeah, several years ago.
Yeah.
I think I've heard of that. People talking about the old days, like Pastor May Francis Williams and some of those older ones down there. I think I remember hearing about that. But go ahead.
Yeah. So,
phenomenal women in your lineage.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah. So my older brothers, because there's like a big gap of about 15 years between me and my older brothers from my mom's first marriage, and they would tell stories about picking glass from my grandmother's feet because she believed in wearing all white and walking barefoot. So that was my mom's mother. So that's why, my mom is the inspiration behind this book, but it was her mother, my grandmother, who was her inspiration for becoming that prayer warrior.
And Carloyn?
Yeah, me, I'm just following what I stepped in to help a friend who needed help, and she wanted my mom, and my mom couldn't, so I did it.
We never know what God would use to stimulate that which is already within us.
Yeah.
Now, are you going to be walking around Dade County with no shoes on?
No.
Now, that ain't happening.
No.
That's okay. So, your mother's name?
Margaret.
And this is who we're talking. Your mother's on the front cover, right?
That's
here.
right. Yes.
Okay.
That's my mother.
She's
yes.
beautiful. You look just like your mama.
Thank
Anybody ever told you that before?
Yes,
So, who's the
yes.
baby?
I have a younger sister.
Okay. That's
So
a little.
I'm the next to the baby. I'm the knee baby.
You're the knee baby. Oh my God, I haven't heard that in so long.
Yeah.
The knee baby. Okay, and what is the actual family's name?
Well, my name is Austin, but my mom was a Riggs, and my grandmother was Riggs. Yes.
Riggs. So it's the Riggs family. Well, God just rigged your life and caused you to become what you are today. Are there going to be any more books coming?
I am eventually going to work on a volume 2, but just like this one was kind of, inspired when I knew I needed to sit down, and I just started writing. And I never planned to put my personal stories in this book, by the way. Shame, don't eat your vomit, backstabbing, none of those things were planned. It just kind of evolved in my spirit once I started writing it. I really just planned to put everybody's favorite prayers and devotionals that had come from all of the emails. So now, when I get ready to do the second one, I can't disappoint my fans. They want personal stories. I can't just make them up, so I have to. And I do have some other ones.
You have some more stories?
Yeah, I've started writing them, but I just need to be, inspired and ready to, put it on paper so that it's from my heart. It's coming from my heart.
What is that baptism portion in there? The baptism.
I talk about baptism because I feel that I was baptized at 10 years old.
Okay.
And I kind of feel that in itself caused the Holy Spirit to look over me. And I tell a story in the book about when when my baby was like 10 months old, and this is like 1982. And I was driving from Fort Polk, Louisiana back to Miami. And my husband at the time, her father, he was a soldier. And I was falling asleep while I was driving. And I'm actually getting ready to ascend a bridge. And I heard something say, Carloyn. And then I awoke, I realized I'm on this bridge. And I'm like, and I just get, I stay awake enough to drive over. The first rest stop I get to, I pull over. And he's sleeping, she's sleeping, and so then I go to sleep. And then when my then husband wakes up, he begins to yell at me because we're at a rest stop. And, in 1982, he believed it was dangerous to stop at a rest stop and sleep like that. And, I explained to him that, hey, I was falling asleep. So I realized that, it wasn't him that woke me up because he was sleeping. But I heard my name, and that is what woke me up. Awesome. So I just kind of, somehow when I had that particular scripture, I thought about that story, and I hadn't thought about it in years, and I decided to write about it.
May I ask this question? Your mother, your grandmother, their religious persuasion?
Well, my mom, brought me up Baptist, so I pretty much say that we're Christian.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has it always been Baptist?
I would say so, and then I actually asked my brothers about that, and they said that my grandmother really didn't profess to be any particular denomination, but my mom ended up being, Baptist.
Just being awesome in God. Well, thank you, Carloyn, for being with us on this episode of Books of the Month. This has been very interesting, thought-provoking, and I'm sure many out there have enjoyed the interview immensely. Where can we find your book? Right quick, we have 30 seconds.
prayersofmymother.com. prayersofmymother.com. There are several little links that you can click on to get the hard copy, paperback, ebook, and audiobook.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us on this episode of Books of the Month. Again, I'm sure you enjoyed Ms. Austin and Prayers of My Mother. See you next week, same time, same place. God bless you all.